Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to become a... Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to become a tiger fairy. My name is Crystal BH10, and come here. Come on. This is my dog, Rosebud. Where have we been? Where have we been? Where have we been? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Actually the moving process had started like 2 years ago. It just, there's so many things going on. Like, I'm not going to start back then. That's going to be a super long video. We're going to start back where, June, maybe May or June, about a year from today. A year ago from today, this month. I had decided maybe Texas is a good option for me to move. So, in order to make that all happen, I had to figure out a few things. Okay. First, who's going to be my payee? Second, payee. Come on, Rose, stop. Where am I going to stay? Third, a ride. And then fourth, pretty much tell my dad. Because back a year ago, I was living with my dad. Some of you guys might know this, and some of you guys might not. The new subscribers might not know it. I was living with my dad for over a year before I moved out. Okay? And while I was there, something happened in January. I'm not going to talk about it right now, not publicly. Only like 3, 4 family members know. I probably should tell somebody else about it so that we can have a plan if something like that was to happen here. Bye, Rose. By the way, we're at my new place. So, now, the story goes on, okay, and I'm going to tell you. So I could not get a hold of my cousin who I wanted to be my payee, who I trusted with money, because before, well, I was super naive with money, super naive with everything, being on my own, paying bills, paying for groceries, paying for this, that, and all this other stuff. I was so naive back then. Like, stupid naive. And I guess that happens when you first get on your own because you're so excited. You pay your bills. You're like, oh, I have to pay this and this. And, well, for an apartment, usually you have to pay rent, electricity, and if you want internet, you gotta pay for that. And so, plus your phone bill, whatever. So, I trusted her back then, when I really shouldn't trust anybody at that time, but I did. And reason being, you can't just say, here's my money, keep it safe to anybody. Because that would give them, that's pretty much giving them permission to like take all their money away from you or whatever. And at that time I realized pretty quickly that I was actually failing at budgeting, failing at doing this and that and all this stuff. This can actually get a dead person in legal trouble, but I mean, whatever. I'm not going into details about what all happened back then, but she did prove then that like she won't screw me over. She kept my money safe, and so I asked her if she could be my payee. And it was hard to get that information, get a yes, because she wouldn't respond. So I asked my twin sister, who was living with her at the time, and she said, I will look into it. And then she said, sure. I was like, well, I need the positive from her, not you. And she's like, well, message her via this way. And I'm not going into any details. I mean, she doesn't want to be on camera. She doesn't want to be known or anything. And I'm going to completely respect it. All I'm going to say is she is my cousin. And my family would know who. But then, so I did, and she said yes. That's fine. I can't remember what she said exactly. I can look back in the face in the social media, but yeah, she said that's fine. She doesn't care. Actually, I think she said she didn't care. And then I had to get a place to stay for 3 months. I was expecting to stay in a temporary house for 3 months. So I got a hold of my grandfather. And I said, hey, if I decide to move to Texas, is it okay if I move with you until I get on my own? And he said, yeah. I was like, okay. So I got that done. Wait about a week or so, and then I build up the courage to ask my mom, saying, hey, I need a ride to Texas. And she's like, well, I got an option, but you gotta leave by this time, which is like by the end of September. Yeah, I think it was the end of September I had to be gone. I had to be down here. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. And then it took forever for me to build up the courage to talk to my dad. Okay. But should I tell you, when I was younger, I had guys actually hurt me. Men, okay? And so that's probably what happened. My nerves were a little messed up then while I was in Kansas. And no, he did not hurt me. He never did. Not even while I was staying with him, because I was in my own room. I was always in my room. And unless if I went to the park and did videos then. There. Okay. And that sort of failed but didn't. But then it finally went through, and so I finally built up the courage, told my dad. And I remember being tired for some reason, maybe being close to that time of the month. And so, by the way, I'm confused with my body right now. It's a little messed up right now due to the moving and all the stress with all of that. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. I'm not going to worry about that one. And so I kept going and so I finally got the courage to tell him. After I got up, I told him, I said, hey, it's okay if I move to Texas. Because he knew that I was moving to Texas. And he's like, I'm not going to let it happen. She's done this before, blah, 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 blah. Well, you can't do that if your kid actually asks. Legally, you can't do that. Because then I think I could call the police, whatever. I don't like doing that, though. And so, now, everything's a success. Everything's going fine. Everything is going just perfect. But granted, this might not always work, okay? Because that's my adopted family and then my birth family. I'm back with my birth family. And some will say no, some will say yes, okay, at any step, okay? Now, I get a call saying, hey, do you want to go to Texas now? From my mom. I was like, mind you, my dad and my stepmom were gone. They were out doing something, I can't remember. And so, my mom was like 2 hours away, so it would have been 4 hour round trip for my dad. And so I texted him saying, hey, can I go to this place? And then, yeah, we went to a different truck stop than where my mom was, and because whatever. I think I might have dyslexia. I'm not sure. I would like to get tested for that, but I'm not worried about it right now. And then, even in the ears and eyes might have it. So then we went back to the right truck stop. I went and tried to steal my mom's bike and stuff like that. She has a bike on her truck, whatever. And just to tell her, hey, I'm right here. And so we went and got the stuff. That's a whole nother, I can tell you how that all happened. But if a truck driver is not your family, I wouldn't trust them to take you. Reason being is a lot of stuff can happen, especially if you're female. So, yeah. And then, so we went to Colorado because she had loads, okay, and I have to go follow her. I had to go with her, and then she had something in Oklahoma, and that's where her back then boyfriend was at. And she asked me if I could go with him. I was like, yeah. But here's, mind you, I don't feel comfortable riding in a vehicle with the opposite sex, with a male. Reason being, a lot of stuff can happen. And I might go into details about that later. It sort of goes alongside with the Me Too stuff that was going on. I didn't say anything about it, but yeah, I didn't feel comfortable, exactly. But I knew that it's my fastest way to get to Texas, so I took it. And I fell asleep, I was tired, whatever. He didn't do anything. I mean, mind you, we didn't get to town, to my grandfather's place, till 7 a.m. and we were out all night. He was driving through the whole night. I don't know if he stopped. Actually, I think he did, because we had 2 dogs. Here's the thing, my mom said I could bring my bike and my dog. Okay. I was actually, I'm going to tell you right now, I was debating whether I should keep Rose there or bring Rose down here. I decided ultimately bring Rose down here. Reason being, I would be able to make sure her shots were up to date, make sure this is up to date, that is up to date, all this other stuff, okay? And her shots were up to date for September. It wasn't going to be up to date for March until I got the shots for March, whatever. No big deal. I mean, that's just a completely normal thing. I mean, it's shots. It shouldn't be that hard. So we got to Texas the next day, because I was so drained out from the ride, from not sleeping well, from being on the truck for 3 days, being stressed because my dog was stressed, and all this other stuff. So I got myself back to Texas, and then I told my dad and my stepmom, saying, hey, I'm in Texas, I'm safe and sound. And I stayed at my grandfather's. Mind you, I don't know if you remember, okay, I had just, like last year, March 31st of last year was the day that my grandmother died. So but my cousin was there, was living there technically, like she has 4 kids, so that's super stressful, all that. Not the one that was my payee, okay? Those 2 are 2 different cousins. One I get along with very well, the other one I don't get along with, and that's just how I am. Okay, I am who I am, and I don't care. I'm sometimes blunt, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. So, now, I go on, the next day we go to HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development, and, no, I went to Housing Authority, which has HUD in there, and it's all Section 8. So I go and fill out the stuff to get on Section 8 and all this stuff. In the category I'm under for Section 8, I'm not under like Section 8 period. I am, but I'm under HUD. So I filled out the paperwork to go on HUD. Well, a week later, they canceled it. They didn't tell me. Would have been cool. Come on, HUD. Send mail. Because they didn't have proof of income. So I waited until November, and I was like, okay, I'm done waiting. And I had a friend on Discord. I was active on Discord more than Facebook, and I was still pretty active on Facebook. But everything else I sort of cut out due to data usage and all that, and I had to get on my own phone plan and all this other stuff, which I did. It wasn't hard for me. I just said, here's my phone, because I had to put the SIM card in it. I'm not worried about that. And then it went on. So I waited until November. I called and I said, hey, what's up? I haven't gotten a letter. They said, your HUD was canceled. I was like, okay, can I go back over there and like fill out the paperwork and stuff like that again and get back on HUD? And they were like, yes, but you need proof of income. You need your birth certificate. You need your birth certificate and your social security card. And I think proof of ID too, like your state ID or whatever. I was like, okay. So I went and did that. Okay. Normally, if you have proof of income, they will immediately put you on and you just wait a couple months, whatever. It's 6 to 8 weeks over here, but it's different for every other place, okay? I mean, come on. And Brownwood is a small town. So I was like, okay. So we went back the next, no wait, okay, let's go back, okay? Let's go back. Okay, now, after we got that done, I think a week later, maybe even less than a week after I got my HUD, my cousin, who I asked to be my payee, said, hey, let's go get this done because I have free time. So I was like, okay. So we went, got it done. We got my social security taken care of. And now she's in charge of it. And she's like, whoa, I didn't realize this was like a big deal. I was like, it is a little bit. Like, I should have told her like a little bit, like, you are like my financial person, like any money-wise thing is you are in charge of. So she still was up for it. She still is. I mean, she's helping me out with that. And then but at the time, my dad was still giving me, my dad was giving me like $300 a month because that's what I was asking for. Reason being, if I went over it, I knew I would spend it like that. Because that's the type of person I am, and I am trying to cut down on that, but it's hard. So, now, wait until November, and I get no call. And so I was like, well, no, wait until October. And Rose has an issue, a stomach issue, okay? And I think it was because of food or something, I don't know. It's like switching the food immediately. You're not supposed to do that. I'm going to just say it right now, her poop was the same exact shade, same exact color as the grass. So that told me she was eating a lot and lots of grass. So I called the vet about that. The vet said, yeah, bring her in. I was like, okay, when do you want her? And they said, well, this day and this time work. And I was like, yeah. I can't remember the day or the time, but yeah. And then I said it might be because she might have a sensitive stomach, and the vet said that's what it is. Because you shouldn't, but also at the same time, you should never change your dog food like that and then keep it that way. You should like slowly introduce the new food, okay? Read the dog food bag. But at this time, I couldn't do anything about it because my grandfather had 3 dogs already. So, like, I can't do anything, okay? And her food was a lot healthier, too, to say. He thinks his dog food is healthier, but his is, like, the cheap brand, and I get the Pure Balance. And the vet doesn't even approve of that, but, I mean, she's doing fine with it. It's not, like, it's not hurting her stomach. So, I went on and then we took care of that. She was on a special diet for a few days, and then I just put her back on the food, whatever. And then wait another month. That's when I found out that I was off HUD. And I was like, okay. So then I asked my cousin if, like, I don't think she knew much about the Social Security thing. So, not trying to be mean to her or anything, but like, you need to know this stuff, okay? And if you are receiving Social Security and you're not your own payee, you can go to Social Security and request proof of income. They won't ask questions about it. They won't be like, why do you need this or anything like that. They'll just give it to you. like that. So I did that. They gave me proof of income, and that day we ran to HUD, to Housing Authority, I should say. I call it HUD because that's what I'm under. It's easier for me. So I'm going to just continue to call it HUD, I guess. I don't know. So I filled out the paperwork again, okay? January, there was a stop. Okay. I get the letter, and okay, here's the thing. I was calling every week because I already knew I got kicked off once. Didn't want to get kicked off again. So I kept calling every week. And then the day that I called, she said, yes, you have a meeting on this Wednesday. And I got a letter the next day. And I was like, if I would have waited just one more day, I would have known I was ahead without calling them. Sorry about that. And then so then it went on. I got on HUD. I went to the meeting. And that day, though, it was like super, super stressful because my grandfather's van just stopped working. The battery wouldn't turn on or anything. I was mad. I was furious because I figured I had to go through and do this whole thing again. And my grandfather was like, hold on, hold your horses. It's okay. Don't get too mad. And then he got a hold of my cousin that's got kids, that's got the 4 kids, and thankfully it was only her fiance and me at the time, and we went to HUD. I went to the meeting, which it's like you have to go to that meeting, and they tell you like you can get an apartment now, yay, but you have to be aware of the biggest thing I always remember is like they talk a lot about the lead paint. So like they want to approve of an apartment that's got peeling paint or anything like that. And they are like very, very picky too. I learned that, okay? So then, now I'm approved on HUD. So then I'm looking for an apartment. I go straight to the apartment that I'm at. I'm like, hey, can I get on? Do you guys have a 1-bedroom available? She was like, no. But we have a wait list. I was like, okay. So then I got on the wait list. And then I got on to the other wait list that I was on from the apartments that I used to live at. I got on that wait list. And, I mean, wait list doesn't do much. So then it got closing time on that window of opportunity for HUD and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. And that's because my HUD was about to get cut off again. I was like, oh no. So I talked to my grandfather and I said, can we run to HUD and get the extension? And he was like, yeah. And then it was like a month after that, I was like, okay. At this point I thought like I had like only a few days left on HUD that it had to be approved like that. So I had to, so my cousin, that's my payee, I'm going to just start saying my payee, came to the house, and we looked at what I was doing, and she's like, you're doing great, just keep doing it. And I was calling, at this point I had lists of apartments, I was on multiple wait lists and all this other stuff. Well, I called this apartment that day, and I think she put a fire under me again, okay? And made, like, pretty much saying, you can do it, you're doing great, this is all you're doing what you're supposed to do, just keep doing it. So, yes, I did, and I called this apartment, and she said, no, we don't have one for that time period. And so, I called HUD that day, and I asked if I could get a 2-bedroom. Figuring my income would let me have a 2-bedroom. Now, if you do this and your income does, just be aware that your rent will be higher for a 2-bedroom, and you gotta get out within a couple years or something like that. You gotta get into a 1-bedroom. No big deal. So, I've been through that. And stuff like that. So I already knew what to expect from all this. And what I forgot to do was call HUD and I should have asked them when my time to have an apartment was like when I should have a place inspected, and I didn't. And the next day was Friday, so I had to wait. So we set up an appointment for that Monday for this apartment, for like the 2-bedroom apartment that was available. And I was like, I gotta go to HUD, I gotta see. So that Monday, she said, hey, I have a meeting, can we meet at this other time? And I was like, yeah, sure. Well, okay, I'm overwhelmed, okay? I'm excited, I'm nervous, because I'm excited. A lot of stuff going through my mind, like, what if I don't get approved? What if this is the cause and stuff like that? By the way, I forgot to tell you that in February of this year, I paid the rest of Brownwood Apartments, the old apartment that I lived at, debt off, which was $1,200. You can do it all in one, or you can do it in payments, okay? And if it goes to credit, you can still do it in payments with credit, I think, but I just paid it all at once so that it wouldn't be like a hard blow on me. And so I told them, I said, yeah, I need to get a hold of HUD, and she's like, oh, well, they're closed today for some reason, we don't know why. They told me Thursday they were closed, so I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, is it okay if I don't go? And she's like, yeah, that's fine, and asked if I could set it up for the next day. So I did, and then the next day I called HUD, and I said, when do I have to have an apartment? They told me May. Why didn't I remember? I don't know. So they told me May 19th I had to have an apartment. Mind you, I have no credit, okay? At this point, I had no credit. It's all cleaned. No credit whatsoever. A huge accomplishment, in my opinion. Because no credit is a little bit better than bad credit, but you still want to make sure that, if at all possible, try to have good credit, okay? I use Credit Karma, that's how I knew about this, okay? And here comes the interesting part. So I filled out the application I told her, I said, hey, I have to have an apartment by May, and she's like, well, we have one bedroom that's going to be available in May. I was like, okay, I'll take it. I don't care. I prefer downstairs so that I could help my family, my grandfather and my great aunt. I got it in upstairs. No big deal. I mean, it's a little bit more energy to get the bike up, but that's beside the point. Now, I fill out the application. She's like, I don't want the deposits. I don't want anything yet until this is done, except for, I think it was like a $10 money order for like credit check, whatever. And so they checked that, okay, and then later on that week, I had to go in, I think it was my deposit, I'm not sure, but I remember I had to go in for something. I can't remember. That Friday I did, and it was like the Thursday. I was running to Dollar General running errands, and I got a notification from CK. And CK meaning Credit Karma. I was like, okay, and I went into Dollar General, and I did check it, and it said that someone had checked my credit. I'm like, okay. So I get whatever I need done, ran home. By the way, it's getting hot as can be in April. It's like right now like 105 yesterday, I was told. but it turned out to be like 102. So I'm running my butt back home, and then I go to the house, and then the next day I pay like some sort of deposit. I think it was a security deposit, because I knew I didn't have the rent, and yeah, it had to be the security deposit because I had two monies, and at this time I was relying on my cousin and on my payee, and she gave me the money for, I think I had to get like $300 out, something like that. It seems $350, I think, and she did help me out get that. And like I said, she was strictly in charge of that, and so I had to be around for her to do that. She's trying to give me the independence as much as possible, which is awesome. And you can, but like for me, I had to have like small amounts of what I actually get. So now we get the. So at this point, I get it. Okay, we go back to this apartment, and no, she didn't want that. I think she needed. What did she need? It might have been proof of income. I don't know, because proof of income, like they want it within the last 30 days, whatever. Sorry, hair. So I gave her the proof of income, and I said, hey, by the way, do you know if the corporate checked my credit? And she's like, yep. I was like, okay. So they did, and she's like, yep. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's all I needed to know, because I try to keep track of that so that I know like who's getting into my credit, because I don't want like people actually trying to steal my identity, whatever. So I go on and do that. Then I, like a few days later, she says, well, you're approved. I was like, awesome. Oh my gosh. If I remember right, I might have screamed in her ear, because it was over the phone. This was a phone conversation. She said, you're approved. I was like, awesome. But now we gotta get HUD to approve, and HUD is strict. I mean, you would expect, okay, for somebody that's on HUD, just minimum, like not even central air and heating, but HUD here, you need central air and heating, probably just to keep you cool throughout the day or whatever. So the floor's got to be perfect, all this other stuff. And she said, yeah, you're approved, but we got to work on the flooring, but that's our job. We'll take care of that so that HUD can approve. Well then, and she said, we're going to try to get you moved in Friday. So this was 2